Hey guys, welcome to Out of the Spotlight. We have a very special guest today who happens to be one of my childhood friends. She is here to talk mental health and to tell us about her life and career, but most importantly, since it's Suicide Prevention Month, I thought she'd be the perfect guest to join us since she is working super hard to raise mental health awareness in order to help others. So it's an honor to welcome mental health advocate, creator of Life of Whit Web, blogger, and my good friend, Whitney Webster.
Hello.
Hi. How are you?
I'm so good. So excited to be on here. How are you?
I'm good. I kid you not, like you will never change. You look like the same Whitney that I met like back in high school. So it's so awesome to just catch up and have you on the show. I'm so excited to have you.
I know. I am so excited for you. It's so good. I'm so proud of you.
I'm proud of you. You've been doing a lot, and this episode will be very special. I did not really plan like I usually do. Usually I just do a lot of like homework, a lot of research, and I have like some questions, not a list, but I usually have a few. But I'm just like, you know what, with Whit, I'm just like, let's just chat, wing it.
Okay.
Obviously I know you and I know like pretty much everything about you, but this new chapter of your life, you know, with mental health, you've been so loud about it. And I love that because I do feel like more people need to be talking about it. And I do love the fact that people are talking about mental health more than usual.
Yes.
So let's backtrack a little.
Okay.
Tell us a little bit about you and where you grew up and your hobbies. I know one of them, swim. So yeah, tell us a little bit about you.
Well, I was raised in Sugarland with Stephanie, of course. Growing up with Stephanie was amazing, by the way. But yeah, so I was raised in Sugarland all through high school. And then I went on to dive at Auburn University. So yes, that's one of my hobbies, of course, swimming and diving is. But I would say my other hobbies really, like everybody always asks me that, actually, they always ask me, what are your hobbies? And I'm like, working out, I guess like going out with friends. I always I don't have a ton of hobbies like people have, you know, like knitting or, you know, anything like that. I don't
collecting pennies.
Like I don't have anything like that. But I guess I would say doing the mental health stuff on the side and doing my blogging stuff on the side definitely is a hobby. But otherwise, really pretty much like hanging out with my friends and going out to dinner and doing anything social, anything that I can do that's social is right up my alley.
And that's something that will never change. That's the Whitney that I met, that I know. It's always so much fun to be around you because we never know what we're going to get into.
Yeah.
To be honest.
So true. Really, you never know.
Ever. And Auburn, anytime that obviously people hear that you went there or they know that I have a friend that went there, they always want to chat about it. And obviously I got to go there because of your wedding.
Yes.
Thanks to you getting married, I got to check out the campus and kind of where you lived for 4 years or so.
Yeah.
So talk to us a little bit about that experience. And I don't even know if I know this, but did you have other schools that you were kind of considering, or was this kind of like the one that you were like, this is where I'm going?
No, actually, I, first of all, love Auburn, War Eagle. Best choice I ever made. But no, I actually had a ton of options. I actually went on, you could go on 5 recruiting trips. So I went on 5 recruiting trips, and then I went on one that was unofficial. So I went to Florida, Florida State, Georgia, Tennessee, Texas, Auburn. And Auburn was my first one. The hurricane had just hit, so I didn't get to go until Saturday morning instead of Thursday night. And it was just literally, it was my first one. It was the best. I called my parents after the football game. The swimmers and divers got their NCAA championship rings at halftime. And I was just like, I'm going to Auburn. And my parents were like, okay, well, this is your first trip. You still have, you know, a lot more to go to, you know. And I was like, this is just it. I just know it's it. So I did end up going on those other recruiting trips and loving multiple schools. It definitely was a tough, Georgia was right behind, but now I'm really glad that I didn't go to Georgia. So it was such a roller coaster, actually missing like my life revolved around it. So I missed my senior homecoming to go on a recruiting trip to Florida. But meeting the people,
I
the
remember that.
experiences that I had and everything obviously were worth it. But yeah, so lots of options outside of that too. I just had to pick ones to go on recruiting trips
Mhm.
to.
I think I missed this like earlier time period of your life, but how did you get into swimming, diving, all of that? Or how old were you when you started?
So I was 3 when I started swimming.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
okay, swimming, yes. I was
Yeah.
about to say diving,
No,
no.
no. Swimming. My parents basically we had a pool in the backyard. They basically threw me in the pool. And then I started doing summer league swimming. And then I actually got into diving from swimming. And I was younger. And they told me that it would be really good for me to be in gymnastics to learn how to flip and stuff like that for diving. Well, diving only lasted a little while because I got sucked into gymnastics. And so I stayed with gymnastics for years and years and years, all through, into middle school. And then got burnt out. So decided to go back to swimming and diving, and then ended up focusing mainly on diving, from there on. But yeah, so it was I actually had started diving, which is weird because I always forget about that. And then quit for a long time to do gymnastics, and then got back into diving. A lot of retired gymnasts are divers, kind of just like is the flow into things. But so that's how I got into diving, pretty much.
I love how you say that you forgot that you did that for a while because you were freaking good. So good. Like I loved watching you. Loved watching you.
I know. And social media did not exist, which
I know.
which is great. Don't get me wrong, it is great. But like I have, what are they, VHS videos
Yeah.
of me diving because I had to send them to colleges for recruiting.
Yeah.
And I literally have videos. I don't have
Yeah.
anything, I don't have much, minus like a picture of a picture. I don't really have
Yeah.
anything of diving because social media wasn't really a huge thing.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
It's good, but it's also bad. Like I hate the fact that, yeah, we don't have a lot of those memories and moments, on our phones basically. But then at the same time, just due to all of the pressures and things that come along with social media, I'm kind of glad we got to enjoy those moments without the cameras and the
hmm
hashtags and all of that.
Right? No, I know it's so true, especially with mental health. Like it's crazy how much that social media plays into that. I know that I am on social media, and people can say that's detrimental to your mental health.
Mm-hmm.
But so it is crazy thinking about growing up without social media, growing up with all, the issues that I had. I can only imagine just how much worse they could have been with social media.
Yeah.
I mean,
Very well said.
yeah, like I look at things that are going on with teenagers, and the bullying. It's so easy from behind a screen to talk bad to people
Yeah.
and talk negative to people. It's so easy to
Yeah.
comment on somebody's photo, and tell them just, the most crazy things.
Yeah.
It just blows my mind that that's something that, that we are actually having to deal with.
Yeah.
But social media can also be great too.
I agree. Depends on how you use it and who's behind, like you said, behind the keyboard, behind the screen.
Mm-hmm.
What you just mentioned, mental health. I'm so glad that we're all learning that you can't judge a book by its cover.
Yeah.
People always say, I never thought, I never knew. This person didn't seem like they were going through something that was hurting their mental health.
Mm-hmm.
And that goes along with you, Whit. Like I never thought that you were having, like you just mentioned, hard times and whatnot.
I know.
How did you kind of come to, this is what I'm going through, but I'm okay with it?
Yeah. So it started in about 6th grade. I would say I started with an eating disorder, which is very prevalent in gymnastics and diving and, different sports and things in general, for girls and females and stuff like that. It is, which men are also very susceptible to eating disorders, which a lot of people don't know or, realize. But so it started in 6th grade. And I was good at hiding it. It took a while for my parents to start to figure things out. And I basically was to the point of my parents were going to take away my athletics if I didn't do something about my issues. And so I had like I fought it and fought it and fought it. So it came down to the fact of me saying, okay, I have an issue. I have issues. They need to be figured out because I want to move forward with my life. I want to continue to do these things. And if I'm not allowed to because I'm not healthy in then obviously it's not an option. So basically, starting in sixth grade, I started seeing a nutritionist and a psychologist. So very, very early on, I was aware of, like mental health and kind of what was going on. I obviously was still very young, so I didn't, I just felt like, oh my gosh, I'm just this crazy lunatic that has to go to, therapy all the time and just had something wrong with her. And, but at the same time, trying to take that during therapy and during, my nutritionist appointments and things like that, trying to like really open up, which took a very long time. Like I did not want to do it for a long time. So it was something that I fought, I guess I would say, for years into opening up. And then I went in and out of stages of opening up. You get into this situation where you just don't really want to get out of it. It's a comfort feeling. You feel comfortable in it. My eating disorder was a lot about control. I had things going on in my life that I couldn't control, and that was the thing I could control. So it wasn't just, oh, I think I'm fat. And I think a lot of people don't necessarily realize that eating disorders aren't not because, like I did have body dysmorphia and issues that I'm still dealing with today. But a lot of it was a control thing for me. I had things going on in my life and I needed something to control. And it just so happened that with all the other things, athletics and the way I did perceive myself, that kind of led to me having the eating disorder, which led me into learning about, my mental health and depression and ADHD and things that I had going on. And then it kind of was just a progression from there, really, over the years, just learning more and more, finally figuring things out, in 2019, which was figuring out what really was going on with me in 2019, which is crazy to think that it was, oh my gosh, I don't even know what sixth grade was. It's just crazy to think that it took that long for me to figure out, to really be properly diagnosed, I guess I would say. For years and years and years and years, I definitely wasn't the person that was like, oh, I have these issues and I'm okay with it. Like, I'm going to move forward. I'm going to move on. Like I'm just the same as everybody else. I just have special thing, like that kind of stuff. It wasn't just like that. And it's still, sometimes it's not like that today, but I think over the years and years, and then having my experience that I had in 2019 opened my eyes to a lot of things for so many reasons. How people treated me after getting out of treatment, how I felt after treatment, how I felt during treatment, that kind of stuff. That all is what motivated me to being like, you know what, I'm amazing. Like I am cool.
Yes.
Like I am fun.
Yes.
Just because I have a mental, like illness and chemical imbalance, like, it doesn't mean that you can't live your life, and it doesn't mean that you should be looked down upon. And so after getting out of treatment for the first time and going back to my job, it was very, very difficult. They didn't really understand, and it just put me in a really weird, bad position. I had to learn what to do with that. And so I learned to speak up. That's what ended up, how this blog ended up coming, was I learned, you know what, like it is okay. And people need to understand. I don't have to lie and say I had the flu, like that just isn't right. That isn't fair, because then everybody else who has issues, they're just going to hide behind having the flu or having some type of a sickness because they couldn't go to work, or they are in treatment, or they do need to see a therapist, so they have to leave work early or have to leave school early. Like, we shouldn't have to hide behind those things. And so I think just my journey from sixth grade on took me forever to finally get to where I am. But It's just, I mean, the journey it's hard to say this, but like everything was worth it. Like it's crazy. People, like going through the things I went through, which were some of the worst, most terrible days of my life, ended up being such a blessing, and I just feel like because of that issue and because of feeling the way that I did about not, necessarily being accepted and, people not understanding and having to make things up about, where like that just was a huge eye opener to me. Like, no, like this is not the way the world should be.
I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
I'm so proud of
Thank
you. I
you.
really am. Going back to what you said about when you were in sixth grade to 2019, that's a huge gap from sixth grade to 2019. That's huge. So not that I'm saying like we're old, but I'm just saying it's still a gap.
A huge gap.
13 years? I don't even know. I hate math.
I know. I hate math too.
So how did you go about taking care of yourself and your mental health throughout those years?
It was a roller coaster for sure. Looking back at different things, there's just so many days where I just didn't know what that day was going to be like. I didn't know, how I was going to feel. I didn't know, would I still want to be here? Am I going to have a breakdown? Am I going to be happy? I I truly look back and I just actually don't really know. I don't know how I got through a lot of the things that I did. I mean, I know that my support of my family and my friends and my teammates through like, high school and college and everything, I wouldn't make it without family and friends. That is for sure. And I think that a huge part had to do with athletics. I think without athletics, I would have been probably in a much worse position. I think a lot has to do with athletics. I was so passionate and determined and dedicated to it that it kind of became if this is what you want.
Kind of like the glue that held it all together.
Yes. 1,000%, without a doubt. Besides friends and family, I owe everything to athletics. I mean, it literally, missing things, not going to parties, not, that kind of stuff. Because I trained, 7 days a week and I was always having to be on. And I think I really do have to give like I have to give the majority of the credit not from friends and family, obviously but then to athletics. The only reason, I really truly believe that's the only reason that I was able to continue to move forward. It wasn't like a distraction, but part of it was a distraction. And then part of it was like how much I really cared about it. I had to go, I had to do certain things to make sure that that is something that I could continue to do. So I think athletics had so much to do with it. And then after athletics were over, it was like things started to definitely go downhill. Yeah, so I really do think having an identity in general, that's what I talk about a lot, is an identity crisis. Having an identity has a lot to do with it. And I have had an identity as an athlete. And so I think that kind of got me through it.
You mentioned that you kind of didn't know what that day was going to bring, right? So it was kind of like you mentioned, kind of like an imbalance. You're like, am I going to be happy, sad? Am I going to be upset today? So in 2019, you sort of kind of understood yourself more. When you talked to me about it, it's like, you were kind of like, I get it now. Like, yes. I understand what's going on with me. And now I know what to do, or what kind of treatment I need to do, or what I need to take in order to kind of balance myself out. are you comfortable with saying kind of what that diagnosis was, or
of course. I am an open book, especially anything that can help anybody. But in 2019, I was hospitalized for a suicide attempt. And that, again, like I said, was kind of a blessing in disguise. It sounds crazy, to say that, but I was in the hospital, long process, got in treatment therapy, hospitalization. And it was that allowed me not allowed me, but I guess it was that I finally was diagnosed with bipolar disorder. It had been, obviously, like I said, since sixth grade, I, knew that I had, mental illness, mental health issues. But I was diagnosed with bipolar disorder in 2019. It literally all made sense. like going back and even, Cody, my husband, like when we got that diagnosis and we sat and we talked about it and discussed it, there's no excuse for anything that you've done there's no excuse for actions. There's no excuse for, the way, you handle certain situations or whatever, but it made sense. So those certain things made sense of, oh my gosh, that, like light bulb, no wonder why, And so I had been diagnosed with depression and anxiety and ADHD early on. And then there was always something there. There was always something else, and just never really could figure it out. Bipolar never really came up for whatever reason. But then after being diagnosed with that and properly medicated, I mean, the difference that it made is just, it literally it's huge. I'm not cured. I'm never going to be cured. There's no such thing as a cure. But as much as I can, maintaining, I'm a true believer in medication. So I take medication every single day. And I feel like with medication and therapy and things like that, like you can have a normal life. You can, totally live your life like a normal, like there's no such thing as a normal person, but you know what I mean?
I love that you're so loud and proud about it, because there are so many people that I'm sure this will help them. This will reach them, and they will realize it's okay to try to learn more about yourself. Like, why am I like this? Or why is this happening?
Yeah.
And it's okay to ask for help. What advice would you give to someone who is going through something similar?
To just ask for help. I know it's one of the hardest things to do. It is. It's one of the hardest things to do. But if you don't ask for help, then you're going to find yourself in a situation where that help is crucial and you might not get it. So I think reaching out to anybody, like the hotlines, like you can reach out to them at any single time, 24/7, 365, no judgment. I have no judgment. My DMs are always open, but there's people that you can call and tell them things. They don't know who you are. They are not going to judge you. So I think, in my opinion, the number one thing you can do is just ask for help. Like even if you just feel like something's a little bit off, you don't have to be in a crisis. You don't have to be suicidal. You don't have to be, crawling in a hole. You don't have to be anything like that to ask for help. I think early on, asking for help is extremely important. So to me, it's like there's so many resources out there and so many people that want to help you. And I just want people to know that, like, there is help. I promise, not alone, never will be alone. And I think getting that help and being exposed to things like being hospitalized and stuff, like, made me realize, like, oh my gosh, there are people that actually do care. So my biggest thing is just ask for help. Even if it's just talking to anybody, just say, I don't know, I just feel kind of off. You can call anytime, like there's tons of hotlines and different websites and things that you can go to. And there's a lot of local things too. If you look up in your area, there's a lot of local, organizations and stuff. And because of COVID, a lot of them are giving free therapy during, COVID kind of like started that because of people having issues with mental illness a little bit more during COVID.
I've read a lot about this. There are certain people that there's kind of like a guilt that they feel, or perhaps other people make them feel guilty. Like, you shouldn't be feeling like this. Like, what? You grew up with, a perfect family, or you have a boyfriend or husband, wife, girlfriend, whatever, or you have the perfect job. So how could you encourage those people, first of all, for people to understand that it's not as perfect as it seems, yeah. And also to people that perhaps want to ask for help, but they feel kind of like there's something wrong for them to be quote unquote complaining.
Right. And I cannot, there's so many things I cannot stand about, like, well, you have everything. You have a husband, you have a family, you have a car, you have, that doesn't mean that you're okay just because of those things. And you can't hide behind the fact that you have friends and that you have things going on, you have a job, I think it takes a lot of courage. It takes a lot of courage to step out and say, no, my life isn't perfect. I do have these things, but it's okay to feel the way I feel, even though I have these things. I'm not taking advantage. I'm not like, oh my gosh, I shouldn't feel depressed because I have all these things and I'm so blessed with all these things. So I have no right to feel depressed. I have no right to have anxiety. I have no right to, not be happy with my life. Why would I not be happy? And so I just think it takes so much courage, and it takes that one little push, and whether that's hearing somebody say that it's okay, learning more about it, hearing more about it, people spreading awareness, and, doing everything that they can. But if it's just that you just have to, you have to just decide that, you know what, it is okay. And I'm going to do what it takes to get better.
I love that, Whit. We obviously grew up together, but you've grown so much. You truly have.
Thank
and
you.
I'm so, so freaking proud of you, because it takes a lot to not only share your story, but to give advice to others. And I love that you mentioned that people can DM you, they can message you
Anytime.
because you are the perfect friend. I know that. Like, I personally know that you are such a good friend. Yeah, I love that you are sharing your story, and it's great that people are talking more about this.
I agree. And I think that the more that we talk about it, the more it becomes just another part of life. It just like a ton of other social issues that are going on and that have gone on for hundreds of years. You get enough talking about it and spreading enough awareness and things, then it becomes, mental health is the same as health. It's all the same. Like going to the doctor is not looked down upon. So going to therapy should not be looked down upon. Having antibiotics for a virus is not looked down upon. So having, medication for bipolar disorder should not be looked down upon. It's all the same. It's all of our health. Our health is our mental health.
Yep. Couldn't have said it any better. And I know that you also have your blog.
Yes.
Which I love keeping up with, everything, even like your Insta stories. I love keeping up with just how open you are and how much you're helping others. So tell us a little bit more about your blog and kind of what you're doing with your social media.
So I think that just going on, like, I love going on my stories. I love talking. I just feel like, especially with all the feedback, it keeps me going from all of my followers. Even if it's one follower, I don't care. Even if it's one person that I reach, but I also get a lot of release out of talking about things, and I get a lot of feedback from people that help me too. Like, hey, like today I talked about some things and I got some feedback from people saying, hey, listen to this podcast, see, if something like this interests you, or I'm so sorry you're struggling with this. Like, I'm struggling with this too. And this is, like, this is my suggestion. This is a good quote, that kind of stuff. So I just feel like using my blog to just, like, I don't know, just real life stuff, like, of course I promote, certain things. And of course I do travel and I, lifestyle type stuff. But my main goal is to just be completely real and show others that you really can live a fun, exciting, joyful life. Like you can, it's like, it's possible, and I'm living proof of it. Not every day is easy, and not every day is a walk in the park. It's actually very, very hard. But nothing, what do they say? Nothing good comes easy, kind of thing, which is true. So, I mean, life is not easy, and mental health is not easy. It needs to be a priority in everybody's life. And it's just like everything else. It takes work. You have to work to be good at your job, like just the same kind of thing. And so I feel like with my blog, it's just an outlet for me to help others and let others see my life and how things can be. And just to let people know that it is, like, life is pretty crazy, like, life is not normal. And just because you have mental illness or mental health, you don't even have to have mental illness to have mental health issues. That's another thing. Everybody has mental health. Everybody needs to take care of their mental health. So that's another thing too. I think that people are like, well, I don't have bipolar disorder. I don't have depression, so I'm fine. But there's still a lot that goes into mental health.
You nailed it. Everyone goes through something at some point.
Right.
Do you have any, I guess, other things that you're working on? I know you mentioned travel. Is there anything that you want to mention about that?
Yeah. So I love to always say like I only promote things that I actually really care about. And so I really do only promote things or collaborate with things,
Yeah.
people, organizations that really are going to benefit me and benefit other people. So yeah, I do some stuff. I'm open to doing things, but it's just something I have to be very passionate about. But I do have something in the works that's actually coming up that I'm really
Ooh.
excited about.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm
So
excited. Maybe once we get off of this, you can tell me.
maybe. But
Yay.
yeah, so just I'm trying to just, like do the things that I love and do the things that I think that,
Yeah.
can make a difference. But
Hmm.
yeah, so I am all for collabing with people and partnering with people that I like
Yeah.
truly believe that, it's actually benefiting me and other people.
I can't stop just, yeah, saying I'm so proud of you. And I know that you've helped a lot of people and you've been helping yourself, obviously, and even your friends. Like, we're all so proud of you. And the message I also take from this is to, check in on your friends and
Yes.
make sure your friends are okay. Text them, call them, and to always spread love and be patient and to try to be understanding of others, and not judge. That's something that I've gathered from
Yes.
this awesome
Yeah.
conversation.
Yeah. No, I love all those things.
Well, Whit, thank you so much for
Yeah, of
chatting
course.
with
Thank you
me.
for having me on. This has been so fun.
So much fun. I love everything that you're doing, and you're such a great example of that because we're all growing and changing and evolving. And yeah, I'm really proud of you.
Thank you.
I hope we can hang out soon. Hope to see you soon.
I know. Let's definitely do it for sure. It's been way too long.
Way too long. This was so much fun.
Let's do it again soon.